My name is Faro Nadrabi, and in this presentation, I will give some general information on how data mining methods can be used to detect healthcare fraud and healthcare abuse. Let's define fraud and abuse. Fraud is described as an intentional deception for the purpose of obtaining unauthorized benefits. For example, if a provider bills for a service that they did not actually render, or if they misrepresent the level of service that they provide. So for instance, if a doctor bills for an office visit with the CPT code 99214, when it really should have been billed as with the CPT code 99213. Abuse, on the other hand, is anything that results in unnecessary costs to the payer. For example, charging excessively for services or supplies, or simply billing for services that were not medically necessary. I was really shocked to learn that 10% of health expenditure is wasted due to the occurrences of fraud and abuse. As the healthcare world is increasingly relying on technology, a new interdisciplinary field has emerged which utilizes innovative machine learning and artificial intelligence methods. This branch of science is referred to as knowledge discovery from databases, KDD. KDD is the combined effort of automation and statistical knowledge, and unsurprisingly, data mining is at its core. Data mining is the process of exploring data and developing useful models in order to uncover patterns. There are two classifications of data mining methods, supervised and unsupervised. Supervised methods are used to detect relationships between input and output variables, and unsupervised methods are used when the output, or also referred to as dependent variable, is not available for use. In supervised data mining or learning, you will need to use samples of previously known fraudulent and non-fraudulent claims. So you will have two groups. Only then will you be able to assign one of these groups new observations when creating your model. Examples of supervised learning include decision trees, neural networks, support vector machines, and many other ones that we reviewed during our class lectures. Also, we should remember that our supervised learning models will need to be updated from time to time because there are always new circumstances of fraud and abuse occurring within an organization. There was a study done to investigate provider claim submission compliance. The study was in Taiwan at the Taiwan National Health Insurance for Diabetic Outpatient Services. And to build their detection model, the researchers selected 9 expense-related variables and compared them in two groups, of fraudulent and non-fraudulent claims. I listed the variables on the slide, so I won't read them out. The researchers were able to run 3 different data mining methods, logistic regressions, neural networks, and decision trees. In the end, they concluded that the classification decision tree model performs the best, with an accuracy rate of 99%. However, they found that the other 2 models were pretty accurate as well. Alternatively, there is unsupervised data mining, or learning. With unsupervised learning, you can analyze one particular claim and compare its features with other claims to determine anomalies and similarities. Examples of unsupervised learning methods include clustering, outlier detection, association rules, and again, there are many other methods that we learned or at least heard about during our class lectures. In another study in Australia, association rule mining was applied to examine medical billing patterns of specialists. The data was organized in a transactional form, which were defined as all the items billed for one patient on one day by one specialist. And because association rules kind of use if-then statements to come up with their rules, so for example, if a physician prescribed drug A and drug B, then there's a likelihood of 98% that this physician will prescribe drug C. The researchers were able to identify 215 association rules. So in the end, any specialist that broke the association rule was labeled as one with a higher risk of fraudulent behavior. Although there are limitations, we can see that many healthcare organizations have successfully implemented both supervised and unsupervised techniques to discover instances of fraud and abuse. Most of the time, fraud and abuse in healthcare is linked to monetary concerns, such as reimbursement and general costs, but we cannot neglect the fact that fraud and abuse can occur in other departments within a healthcare organization. In any case, technology is becoming more advanced and innovative. There's going to be a lot of new ways of detecting this important aspect that any one of us could be a part of or be at least affected by. I want to recap on the general steps that you should remember when using data mining techniques to discover fraud and abuse within the healthcare field. First, you want to identify the most important attributes to include. Second, you should define new features that are indicators of fraud or abuse. Next, identify unusual records by outlier detection. Then, go ahead and exclude the outliers from the data and cluster your records based on the extracted attributes. Next, identify and investigate the clusters in the outliers. After that, you should finally design your supervised models. And lastly, keep in mind that you can apply the supervised methods routinely, but you should periodically also run unsupervised methods because, as I stated earlier, there's always new ways that fraud and abuse could occur. And you just want to make sure that you catch any occurrence. And that concludes the presentation on using data mining methods to detect fraud and abuse in healthcare.